In Curator, when the logs that come from AWS, Azure, IBM Cloud, Google, etc., when those logs are processed, and there are conditions indeed that makes the rules that accompany those log sources, they generate offenses, and you can watch the offenses in the same way that you see all the other offenses, right? But there is a dedicated view that you can have that comes as a consequence of installing a free app, the Curator Cloud Visibility app, version 1.4.0. I did a video on this a while back, I think more than a year ago for sure. And this thing has evolved very, very much. And the type of view that you get, I already fired that app, I installed it and fired it, is a type of view like this, in which only the offenses that had fired as a consequence of events that come from the cloud are displayed. We can see here the top categories, the top log source types, and notice that they are mixed, they are all. I click on this so you see them all. And notice that you even have this nice part which is the tactics that those rules correspond with in MITRE. And there are many videos that I've done on that subject. And you can see the details of every one of them, and when you click on any one of these, you actually go to the standard view in Curator to watch those. All these things are actually clickable as well. So it's a nice view in which you can see them all, or you can see them and watch them individually. So here, if I want to see only the AWS ones, I can see them in here. If I want to see only the Azure, I have some little bit of data from Azure and an IBM as well. You can actually see it here as well as here, right? So you can see it individually, or as I showed you before, you can watch them all together. In the case of AWS, you even have more granularity. You can watch VPC flow logs if you have them, as you can see them in my system. You can see them in real time, you know, the actual flows going, right? And these are VPC flows. You have the identity management, which I'm not going to click because I may reveal some identity, some stuff that I may not want to do that. And here on these particular links, notice that I have this already set up, and more on that later, and I can check in here to see whether there's a newer version of the content on the App Exchange for AWS logs. So what else? Well, not only this is great for visualization, of course, I mean, these have sub-menus in which you can actually look at the log sources and, you know, see them by CloudTrail, by GuideDuty, by VPC flows. And by the way, whenever you see this particular icon in here, you can click on it and still retrieving the data there. Here it is. You can retrieve that there and actually configure those logs, define what you want and what do not want to see. And this also supports the different regions in AWS. So if I were to click here and click next, I can select the actual region in there as well. So while this is spectacular for visualizing the specific offenses that fire from logs that come from the cloud, there's a fantastic section in here, this guide. What I like about it is that it's the only place that I know of, there might be another, in which all the documentation, all the information about log sources for cloud log sources for Curator are concentrated in. And so the first part is about the setting up of them. And as you can see, it tells you what version of the protocol, what version of the parser or DSM you have, which is very good for, you know, determining whether you have the latest one or not. And I believe that soon we will have a button here that allows you to check whether that's the latest one or not. And when you read, view, and create, not only you can also set up your different log sources, but you have a wizard like the one. This is another link to the other one I showed you before, where it walks you by the hand on the process of creating those. Of course, you have a section for AWS, one for Amazon, one for IBM Cloud, and even one for Google Cloud, right? But what good are all the log sources in the world if I don't have the rules that will fire the offenses for those? This is where the story gets very interesting, because in this second part of the guide, you can actually download from here. For example, here are the rules that comes with AWS. Again, content extension is another name for the apps in the App Exchange. But rather than you going into the App Exchange and looking, there are so many things on the App Exchange that it's becoming hard to find what you want. Well, all you have to do in here is tell you what is it that you want. For example, it's telling me you don't have Office 365 and crypto mining content extension. You want to download those rules, and I will say, yep, go ahead and do it. And if you have the Assistant app, which you see it in here, well, then the installation process is really a snap, because all I need to do is click here, install. And as I accept the terms, it's going to be doing the download and the installation process for that. Right? Very, very cool. Again, easy way of, you don't have to know ahead of time what content extension exists and all that. The guide provides you the mechanism for getting all that information. And there's even a third section in here that allows you to get to know other things that you may or may not have. And some of these things, for example, integration with Amazon Detective, I don't have that. I want to understand and maybe try to set that up. And you have a wizard that walks you by step on what is it that you need to do. Some of these sections also have a video that shows you the details for you to actually know. So these are aspects, if you are working heavy more and more with log sources coming from the cloud, these are things that you may actually want to review. So in sum, this is a great app for visualizing in a separate from the other offenses in Curator. When you want to watch the things that come from the cloud, you have now a dedicated view. Again, all these stuffs are easy to configure, the different views that you have. In fact, you can even do more configuration of that by going into the admin tab. When you install that app, you should have an icon here, and here you have it. You can go into this icon and click on every one of these individual sections, and you can configure those specific views even more so, right? So here's the view for all the cloud offenses, the one for AWS, the Azure, and the IBM one. Great app for, again, visualizing. But in order to visualize that, you first need to set these things up, and the tool walks you by the hand on how to do that process and has that guide to, if you are not familiar with these things, the terminology and the things, the way that every cloud provider works, then this app is a welcome help to help you get those things set up.